Member for Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And just to begin, I would like to advise you, Madam Speaker, I'll be sharing my time with the member from Brampton North. Madam Speaker, I came to this place to serve. And I've had two previous occupations. First, I've served as a lawyer for 6 years. And then following that, I had the privilege of serving as a chaplain to a community for 20 years. And I love the idea of serving. And I felt that there were greater challenges ahead of me, and I wanted to use my gifts to the best of my ability. So that's really what brought me to this place. And I know it sounds idealistic, but that's exactly why I stand in the place that I do today. It's really to serve. And I don't say that to brag. I know there's many members in this House who have come to this place for the same reason. And those members and I share this, and that is we don't need any credit because we get our fulfillment and we get our credit in seeing the difference that we can make for Canadians. And so I have to admit that there are parts of this job that take me out of my comfort zone. When I first came to this House and stood up in the House to speak, it was not something that I would say I was immediately comfortable with. But the greater interest for me is serving the people that put me here. And so, Madam Speaker, you come to get accustomed to it. And you stand up when you know that you're standing up for the right thing. And I need to stand up today as a member of the PROC committee. And I am happy that I have this opportunity. I'm honored to have this opportunity because I want Canadians to know about what this government is putting forward. Now, I know that everyone in this House works hard. There's no question. And although I've been in politics all my life working in the background, I've never really truly known and appreciated how hard members work. But this isn't today. The topic today is not about working harder, Madam Speaker. It's not about that at all. We're all working hard. It's about how to work better. The analogy I think of is this. When I see a mouse on a treadmill, working hard, running on that treadmill, going all day long, not really going anywhere, but working hard. That's not what we want, Madam Speaker. We want our efforts to be used so that we can serve Canadians to the best of our ability. And that is what we are trying to do with this motion. What we are trying to do is we are trying to get a discussion going about how we can better serve Canadians. Let's be more efficient. Let's do it better. And I think that we all share that. But we have to get to the discussion before we can embark on the ideas of how to get there. Now, let me give you the example of committee work. So this was new to me, so committee work. So what happens currently now in the House? What happens is we're called to committees. And we go to those committees, and very, very important work is done at those committees. Probably the most important work. And witnesses come to those committees to testify. Those witnesses are flying in from all over the country to testify. And with all due respect, it's the taxpayers that are paying to the witnesses to get there, but that's money well spent. To get those witnesses in front of committees is money that is very well spent. But I'll tell you what's not well done, Madam Speaker. The bells go off. All of a sudden, we jump up from committee. We jump into shuttle buses. We come over here, there's a 30-minute bell. 30 minutes pass. Then we get up and vote. Then the votes have to be taken. Madam Speaker, we're lucky if we get back to committee. Usually we don't get back to committee. What happens? All those people that came to present at that committee, they go home. Right. They fly home. You can't make up that time. We have to do better. Those members, those witnesses want to give testimony. We want to hear their testimony. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by having this discussion, which everyone in this House can contribute to. Now, I want to read from the discussion paper because it's very important that we set straight a lot of the things that are being misconstrued. Okay, Fridays. Now, someone mentioned, one of the members mentioned that there's nothing in the paper about Fridays. Let me read what's about Fridays. This is what it says. This is the House Leader's discussion paper. Should Friday sittings be reapportioned, it would be important to reallocate any lost time to the remaining 4 days, including the time lost for question period and private members' business. This could be accomplished by having the House meet earlier on certain days. Alternatively, right in here, if Friday settings are retained, they should look like any other sitting day. What does that mean? A full day, Madam Speaker. That means a full day. So this spin of it's a day off, this, that, I'm going to tell you something about my own experience. If I need a rest, and I'm speaking completely honestly, I want Canadians at home to know, if I need a rest because I'm exhausted, I'm better here on a Friday. You know why? Because I put in a half day, and the rest of the half day I get to travel home. That travel home is a rest for me. Whereas if I'm not sitting on a Friday, I'm leaving here Thursday night late. I'm getting home late on Friday, and Thursday night, and first thing Friday morning, 7 o'clock, I'm at the Constant office. This Fridays the way they currently sit, I've got one or the other. We either make them a full day, or we do what's in the paper. We reapportion this, that. But this discussion paper is the start of the discussion. It's not the end. This business of ramming through, this isn't the way it is, Madam Speaker. This is a discussion. This is where we start. Okay, electronic voting, that's in here too. Been talking about it for 32 years. Just so happens that the West, not saying that it's going to happen. We're saying, let's have the discussion. Why is the discussion timely? Because the West Block's being reconstructed. And so now, if we are going to have electronic voting, it might be a good idea to have the discussion in order that we can accommodate it so that we can follow through with electronic voting. So this is not a done deal. It's not something that's decided. It's to be talked about. Okay, the House calendar. Let's move to the House calendar. Everybody's talking about, you know, the Liberals, they want to make life easier. They want to work less. Okay, if we want to work less, why do we say here in this discussion paper, having the House sit earlier in January, good thing. Not later, earlier, more days, that's more days. Later in June, Madam Speaker, that's more days, that's not less days. And earlier in September. We're talking about what do we need to do to get the work done, to follow through on our commitments that we're making, to get legislation passed. How do we use the time in this House more effectively? How do we do that? Okay, time allocation. Let me talk about that one now. Time allocation. I just want to refer, and it's been mentioned a couple times, 41st Parliament, 100 times. You know the time that took for time allocation votes now? 100 times. That you have well, then it wasn't 338. Now it will be 338 if we did that. 338 times 100 times, times an hour for each time, whatever it takes. Is that the best use of our time? Now, the British House of Commons has used programming motions to allocate time. Now, this is being talked about, oh, this is a terrible thing. Well, guess what? They've made it permanent now. And the opposition who first were against it are now in favor of it. Okay, that's another thing. Questions. Okay, this question. This one really, I tell you, I have a hard time listening to this one. The suggestion is that we want to limit the Prime Minister's questions. Okay, look at it. We have a Prime Minister that goes across the country in an open mic answering questions of Canadians. This isn't about more accountability, less accountability. This is about more. This is about giving more time in addition to the questions that the Prime Minister is answering. So look at, this is what I want to say. Madam Speaker, to be honest, I have to say, I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. And this is about using our time to the best of our ability. This is about using taxpayers' money who are paying our salaries to better serve them. Madam Speaker, I'm going to suggest to the honourable member that had 3 options, I got a 4th option. Approve the motion that we put through at Brock.
Yeah.